Hi, Steve Walter from MealsVideos.com. This video is going to be a little different. There's a game from Gala Games called Legacy. I've been working on it, playing it in the play test, and getting a little frustrated, to be honest. So someone in the chat in the Discord said, "Oh, well, if you look at the Legacy Diaries, they have videos and text that tell you all the little secrets, right?" So I'll admit I haven't been watching this, and this goes back to January of this year. So what I thought I'd do is take these little short 2 or 3 minute videos they have here and just put them all in one video for YouTube, because not everybody goes to Discord for their source of all information. I know that's kind of the way it is with Gala, but a lot of people just like to go to YouTube and find stuff too, right? So I'm going to play some of these videos. I might comment on them, I might not, just depending on what they say and do. And that way, at least we'll have one place on YouTube where a lot of this information will be. So the first one is announcing the legacy coin, which I assume is the ERC20 token, which of course the playtest is not going to have. But there's also an in-game currency as well. So that could be the coin inside the game, maybe not the ERC token. But we'll watch some of these and see what we can learn.
Legacy coin. And introducing Legacy coin, an ERC20 token that allows you to turn your creativity into real world money. Welcome to the first of a series of videos where I'm going to give you a brief look at some of the features within Legacy. Today we're talking everything Legacy coin. Let's start simple. How do you get it? Well, it's relatively simple to earn a little, but to earn a lot takes serious skill and creativity. Award ceremonies and competitions are the two main ways a player can earn Legacy coin. Take a look at this rank table. The higher you are, the more you earn, so it's wise to enter every competition you can, since wherever you end up, you can still earn some coin. This table is constantly changing, and players will have to adapt their business strategies to come out on top. We'll be speaking more about award ceremonies and competitions very soon. Landowners earn a percentage of any Legacy coin won or gained by players using Legacy keys they've gifted. This creates huge opportunity. The more land you own, the more profit you're bringing in. How do you use it? The trading house, a core part of Legacy, is a great place to spend your earnings. The player can buy houses, resources, workers, and more from the trading house. The research lab, a special building that allows you to invest your Legacy coin into researching unique and rare parts for your products, shiny new blocks for buildings, and entirely new product lines. Spending Legacy coin in the research lab will enrich your gameplay experience, changing the way your business functions and opening up a massive amount of possibilities. And, last but not least, Legacy coin can be used to unlock new areas in the game world, giving the player more space to expand their business, more raw materials, plots for houses, factories, dispatch buildings, pubs, and more. Every building you add has a useful impact on your business, so be smart and try and buy more land. Well, that's all for me today. Expect more of these short but sweet videos in the coming weeks. Thank you for watching.
Okay, it does say it's an ERC20 token, so it's not just the in-game cash. We'll learn more about that later.
Back. In the previous episode, we mentioned award ceremonies and competitions. We're excited to talk to you more about this, but before that, we have to show you all something else. Let's talk about the heart and soul of Legacy, the design table. A really special game feature, a blank canvas with essentially infinite possibilities and ways for the player to express creativity and set themselves apart from others. The design table is the player's best friend, and they will find themselves spending a lot of time here right from the first seconds of the game. Okay, so here I am on the design table. I'm going to be making a product and taking you through some of the layers of complexity the design table has. I've chosen dresses since they're a great example of how the player can express creativity. So I'll start by bringing out this bottom drawer here, and notice the colors underneath each part. They signify rarity. I'll drag out this base. And that feels great, dragging out parts and putting it onto the design circle. And, what else could I go for? I'll go for this rare part. So notice as I added that, my market value went up. Now I'll get into this in a little bit, but the higher that is, the more chance I have of appearing on these podiums. Now that takes so much in the game, especially award ceremonies and competitions, so it's really worth trying to get up with these other players onto these podiums. So let's keep adding. I'll choose this part here and put that on. That looks pretty good. But I'm not done.
That's one thing I don't think I've ever been out of the red so far. So I didn't realize. I mean, I thought the market. I thought this was market demand. So I got to figure out what I have to do to get like my hamburgers in the green zone versus the red zone. So that's news for me.
Done yet. I'll open up the accessories drawer and choose this super rare part I have here. I was lucky to bag that in the research lab, and that's going to put up my percentage quite significantly, but I'm still a ways off from even being in third place. So, I'll switch over to the right hand side here. Paints, patterns, and stickers are super important of getting your design quality up. Let's choose a color. I've got a bunch of different choices to go through here. I'll go for this purple for the two upper layers, and then put a nice orange on the beads below. I can even color the podium. So now instantly I'm at 24.5%, which is putting me at third place, but I'm not done and I want to reach first. It's going to mean my design sells for more and is seen by more players. So let's add some patterns. Not sure where I could add them here. How about I substitute that orange paint and put this on the beads. Now I'm at 27. So I'll explain this now. This market score is super and is calculated for many different levels. As you can see, my part score is great since I've used a couple rare parts. My quality is okay, but that improves as the player goes through the game and upgrades their buildings. In this example, I've used the base world, so that's going to be pretty low. My paint score is great, could be better. My sticker score is currently 0, but I can fix that in just a moment, and my pattern score is okay. Business level is very low because, as I said, I'm on a demo world here. And uniqueness is, well, it's a little bit, but definitely could be better. So, let's go back in and add some stickers and see if that helps. I'll put a nice flower on the side here, make it a bit smaller. And there we go, I'm at 29.5%, which should put me above first place and give me a great chance of earning some legacy coin and more rare parts in upcoming ceremonies and competitions. So I'm pretty happy with this design, but there's more on the table for me to talk to you about. Notice this cost sheet here, down on the right. This is telling me what my design is gonna need. So for example, if my factory couldn't store all of these resources, I'm not going to be able to go out and actually make this product. The silica mine is only unlocked once a player buys a certain region, so if I don't have that, I'm equally not going to be able to make this design. So it's a good idea for the player to keep their eye on this cost sheet and just make sure that they're staying within the regions that they can achieve at their current level. So there we go. I'll add one more finishing touch. Maybe that'll bring me up to 30%. I can go ahead and add a nice orange color onto my mannequin here. Well, that hasn't had such of an impact, but it has upped my quality just marginally, and that can be the difference between coming second and first place. So there we go. I'm just scratching the surface of what's possible in the design table, but I thought I'd show you live how it works and how it feels. To apartment blocks topped with massive teddy bear heads, 12 patty burgers, to a house that is actually a burger. You can design any building in any way, it will still serve it. The trading house could be a cake, and you can still trade from it. The smelter could be a huge teddy bear, and it would still smelt. Bikes, burgers, ice cream, cakes, jackets, teddy bears, dolls, dresses, teapots, cameras, clocks, hats, shoes, fireworks, jewelry, lamps, and many, many more. The design table is amazing, and we here at 22 Cans cannot wait to see what you will do with it. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and stay on the lookout.
During the current playtest, I don't think we can design the buildings. They just have, of course, limited set of features. And to begin with, we can only make burgers and cakes, like the dresses and the bicycles and stuff like that. At least they're not available at the very beginning level. They do have this building called the Research Building, which other people have been talking about in the discussion group. So apparently you can earn that if you play long enough.
Welcome back. In the previous episode, we showcased the design table and its capabilities. So once you've designed the product, the only thing left to do is make it. In this episode, we'll be talking about the special buildings that are the basis of every player's business journey and allow you to turn your products from ideas on the table to successful, valuable products making sales. The 4 core buildings. These 4 buildings are essential for production. They can be controlled by the player and make up the start of every single person's world, product, business, and town. These 4 are the player's main focus after creating their first product. The mines, the refineries, the factory, and the dispatch. I should say that not all mines are actual mines, but it's a good word to use as a catch-all for these types of buildings. In this instance, for example, the mine is a cotton farm, harvesting cotton. Similarly, the refinery I'm using today is a cotton mill, but there are plenty of other types of processing plants. But the latter 2 will always be consistent. The factory and the dispatch are the last crucial steps to getting your product sold. The mines. This building, the cotton farm, is the source of the raw resources that will end up as our dress that we designed in the last video. It has a limited number of resources and storage space, so you'll have to keep an eye on both of those metrics. Mines are restocked after a period of time once empty. It is possibly the most crucial building of all. Without raw resources, there is no product. The refineries. The refinery, the cotton mill, takes the resources from the mine, the cotton farm, and turns them into something that can be crafted into a product. These refined materials are valuable not only to you, but also to other players. The factory. Here, your product, our dress, will be made. But the more complex and resource heavy your product is, the longer it will take to create. Finally, the dispatch. This building will get your product out into the world and start earning you money. It does have a pretty small amount of storage though, so it can only hold a certain number of products at a time. Start of the game, players will have to manually click and drag down the production line, eventually creating their product. However, let's add some workers to this world and see the buildings in all their automated glory. Workers are brilliant. They are devoted to your products and town. And there is a lot of strategy behind how one creates an efficient production line. Players can choose to shoulder the responsibility onto themselves, manually clicking and dragging produce down the production line. This method is fast, but pretty grueling. Or you could also choose to let your workers do all of the work for you, but their overall well-being is something to consider. We'll get into that in more detail soon. Alternatively, a hybrid of the 2, where the player and their workers simultaneously take materials down the production line. This is the absolute fastest way to make profits. Whatever method you choose, the player will always have to adapt strategies depending on the product. Building management. A building's info menu is an important tool, a place where each building can be micromanaged and adjusted to fit the player's needs. These different choices all have their advantages and uses. Here you can decide how hard your workers work, where they take each finished article, and exactly when they do that. For example, if the player wanted to send their products to the depot, a storage building for products, instead of the dispatch, they can do that here. Every building can be customized in this way, creating a huge amount of flexibility. There are alternatives to the dispatch building, such as the train station, shop, and more, meaning the player can have more than one revenue stream at once. Finally, let's jump back to resources just for a moment. Our dress we created in the previous episode uses patterns and paints. I can't use these design elements without first acquiring silica, and for that I would need to unlock the mine or just buy the resource. Both raw and refined resources are another source of revenue. Players can mine them and sell them in the trading house. One more thing to remember is that all buildings can be redesigned and optimized to be more efficient. Well, there we go. That was a brief look at the production elements of Legacy. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to keep asking us questions.
This is the next video.
Welcome back. In this week's episode, we'll be talking about something we like to call the business flow. The business flow is the player's instruction manual, their guide to success and profit, a series of goals and achievements that are given to you by your business advisor. These goals will propel your business and teach you the fundamentals of Legacy. An important thing to say is that at heart, Legacy is a business sim, and there are always choices and hurdles in real-world business. The flow is all about giving the player the power to sculpt what type of business they run according to their in-game decisions. In the first minutes of gameplay, the business flow will give you a task like move 6 resources or make 1 product. And all you have to do is mine some resources, move them down the production line, and then create your finished article. But, like I said, it's your choice when you do that, and you can spend as long as you want chucking sheep around or redesigning your first house until perfection. No one's stopping you from ignoring the task in hand until you're ready. The advisors, and we will look more closely at these folks in a future dev diary, act as a driving force, willing you to push on with your business and earn that cash. They'll dish out advice, but not always the kind that you want to hear. The tasks themselves are grouped into sets and chapters. Each set contains a variety of objectives, and each chapter contains a certain amount of gifts or rewards that the advisor has placed throughout. These are delivered via reward cards, an important feature that will help you progress and start making an impact. Reward cards are essential for progression. The rewards will vary from new buildings like factories, pubs, houses, or even cinemas, to upgrades and performance boosters. And sometimes, if you're lucky, straight up briefcases full of cash. The amount of cards given each time is different. It varies. This is the best way to expand your town, but be aware these rewards come with a cost. You've got to keep earning to pay for your expansion. It all comes full circle, since the only way to progress through the flow is to keep playing, earning, and designing. So hopefully, you should be able to purchase all the cards you want when they arrive. Don't have the money, or want to save up for something else? Just store your cards in the vault and come back at another time. It is unlike anything else in the game. Not a building, just a tab that gives the player a large amount of freedom in their decision making. The vault can also be upgraded to store more cards. Okay, let's jump back to sets and chapters for a moment. When you complete a set, your business level goes up. This comes into use when designing a product. The higher level you are, the more impact it has on the final design score, which is essential for things like competitions and general product worth. Also, once you hit a certain business level, a major reward will be given. Completing an entire chapter allows the player to switch advisor, meaning the types of rewards you receive and challenges you are set will change. Deciding which one to take on board will depend on what you want for your game. Perhaps one will have more worker houses to reward you, another will have more leisure buildings to give. It's up to you to decide which route you want to take. What kind of advisor suits your business dreams the best. So, that pretty much covers everything to do with the business flow. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.
Okay, so now we're up to chapter 5, their developer diary. This was originally published in April, and I never watched any of these before. I saw one of the AMAs, I think.
We're going to be talking about another great feature in Legacy. Choices. The world of Legacy in your town is filled to the brim with characters, each with their own story which feeds into the overarching narrative of your game world. Some of these characters you have employed in the factory or the dispatch building. Others are spouses or partners of workers, and some are just unique people with a hand in making your town tick. Adding a layer of complexity to your game while having a direct impact on both your business and your burgeoning town. Each letter gives the player a number of responses to choose from, and these responses influence something called the persona score. This score is a mark on your personality as a business owner and town founder. It's our karma system. React in kind to your town folks' trials and tribulations, and you'll find they'll pay you back with positive persona points. But treat them badly, and they'll rate you just the same. It's entirely up to you how you respond. The key thing here in the narrative is that you have the choice to be brutal and monstrous, or sweet and light. You can treat one person like they're something the cat dragged in, and another like they belong on a pedestal. We want you to explore the options. See what happens when you're despotic, or what happens when you're an angel. Who knows where the choices will lead you? Some choices lead to promises. An interesting mechanic where your choice leads you to making a promise. For example, say a worker's wife is concerned for her husband's health and requests some time off for him. You can either outright reject this, or promise her that he will get some time off and have to deal with the consequences that come from this. Give the worker time off and he'll be away from his job, slowing down production. force him to work, and you'll take a hit to your persona score. But why does this matter? Why does it matter if you give them time off? It matters because your persona score feeds directly into your town satisfaction score. And if that starts to fall, you'll see its effects right through your business. On top of this, if you fail to complete your promise in the time allocated, you'll suffer a forfeit, a loss of even more persona points. Making promises would seem like a dangerous thing to do, but when you do succeed in keeping them, the rewards can be more than worth it. The choices you make lead you to being rewarded or penalized on one or more of these scores. Now, it's not completely clear which choice will lead to having an effect. At no point do we tell you what you will score for each choice. We keep that secret until the choice has been made, meaning that it isn't really possible to game the system as such. So the game reacts to the choices you make, rather than you making the choices depending on the benefits it brings. You'll need to use your own judgment to decide what the right choice is for you. The 4 elements of the persona score reflect the kind of person you are in game. Principles, honesty, empathy, and ambition. Every choice you make in the narrative will impact one or more of these elements. And though some may be obvious, don't go thinking, for example, that honesty is always the best policy, or that ambition is king. Running a business, running a town, is a tricky balancing act that requires an understanding of the nuances that life is full of. If a player leaves a letter unread for a long amount of time, they can not only miss out on benefits and story threads, but it also has a negative impact on persona score. So try to remember to keep up correspondence with your people. Rewards, in terms of reward cards, come after fulfilling promises that you've made. But remember, if you fail to make that promise, there is going to be a punishment. Because if you don't keep your promises, what kind of a person are you? But the biggest reward comes from making the choices that build the business you want to build. The choices you feel are right. This will sculpt your world into a place you are proud of overseeing, whether that means your workers are happy or working until they drop. Alright, that's all for today's episode.
Now we're into week or chapter 6 of the Diaries.
Next episode, we'll be talking about a seemingly simple, but really a beautifully complex mechanic within Legacy. Town satisfaction. Keeping your town satisfied is up to you. Pullman didn't keep his workers satisfied, but Bourneville did. And they're both historically successful businesses that built towns for their workers. Either way, whether you do or don't, your playstyle will influence your business. The town satisfaction score is the sum of many parts. The previously discussed persona score feeds directly into it via the choices system. Every single time you respond to a letter, it will have an impact on your persona score. Whether it is sent to you by your top factory worker or the local postman, it doesn't matter. Your response will have an effect. Firstly, let's talk about the 4 core town-related scores. Design score. The score relating to the design of all buildings. Use rarer parts, design expensive properties, and decorate them, and your score goes up. Leisure score. The number and variety of leisure activities available to the workers. Decoration. The number of decorations in your game world. And efficiency. This score relates to the details of a building, such as, is it fully stocked? How upgraded is it? Does it have a complete complement of workers? All of these and more will contribute to your town's overall efficiency score. Next up is people and their energy. This score measures your workers' energy. Once it dips below a certain point, it starts to affect your overall town satisfaction score. You can make them work harder, but that's when this score begins to affect many other elements. In the menus of production buildings, the player can decide how hard they want their workers to work using these 3 options. There are a load of intricacies to these options, and no single one is right all of the time. However, keep in mind that if you make your workers work hard 24/7, their speed and overall energy will be significantly impacted. They'll go home slowly, needing a longer break. But if you let them take it easy, they'll be happier and faster, but take shorter, much more frequent breaks. Worker speed. This is what you could call the ultimate goal within town satisfaction. The better the satisfaction, the higher the speed, which means in simplest terms, more products being made, more sales being finalized, and more money being brought in. This little tab might seem insignificant, but it really is the beating heart of not only your business, but also your town. So make sure to keep an eye on it and try and learn its ins and outs, because an understanding of town satisfaction just might be enough to push you from small-time business to a multi-million sales-making machine. Okay, that's all for this week's Dev Diary.
Okay, week number 7.
In this week's episode, I'll be showing you around the 22 Cans offices and telling you our diary plans for the coming weeks and months. It's been a pleasure making these Dev Diaries for you all, and all of your questions, compliments and worries have motivated and inspired the entire team here at 22 Cans. It is with some sadness that I have to report we will be taking a 6-week hiatus from our weekly video Dev Diaries. Remember, Dinker's Dog will still be present to answer all of your questions and to drop weekly Dev Diaries, just with no video support. But this hiatus is for very good reason. Legacy is entering a crucial next phase in development, beginning its transformation into its alpha release state, which means playtests, more opportunities to interact with land sales, and a far more beautiful game. But it also means that for the next 6 weeks, everyone here is going to be working harder than ever. There is a stack of features we'll be working on, but there is one that is particularly exciting. A complete overhaul. These next weeks will see Legacy transform into an utterly beautiful experience. A whole new shading system, a whole new set of assets, hundreds more building blocks and product design parts. The game will be almost unrecognizable, and in a good way. This is a gargantuan art team, and you better believe our artists will pour their hearts and souls into the project. Here are some very early renders of what we are aiming for the game to look like. As you can see, it's night and day. All of this means that your town, your business, your products, your houses, factories, smelters will look amazing. So, once again, thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure to interact with every single one of you. And from me and everyone else at 22 Cans, have a great day.
Here's some of the examples of some of the different buildings. The London Shakespearean House, the Conglomerate Deed Holders Drop, the Thespian Style House, the Enterprise Deed Holders Tudor Townhouse. And I guess when you start designing your house, you can mix and match these different pieces. I don't have videos here, but he's talking about the pub, having leisure buildings. The pub acts like a beacon for your workers, attracting them like moths to a flame, which is a good thing, as the pub is more than a token building to make your town look pretty. Leisure buildings do, of course, act as cosmetics for your town, allowing you to create an attractive town that's pleasing to the eye. But the main reasons for adding these buildings is to increase your town's satisfaction and to bypass a worker's home. Bypass. Workers work, and when they run out of energy, they return home to recharge. But if there's a pub between their work and their home, then they'll go to the pub instead. Okay, so that tells me I should put my pub closer to my factories. I didn't get that before. The pub will also recharge their energy, meaning that you can place a pub between a row of houses and a row of factories, smelters, and mines, and the workers will slide into the pub instead of going home. And that means that instead of having to travel all the way to their individual houses to recharge, all those workers can go to the same building to get their energy back up. Of course, a trip to the pub will also boost the town satisfaction score. So I'm assuming the workers don't get drunk. That's probably the thing they didn't mention. But anyway, the downside to all this is the pub has the limited number of customers it can serve at one time. So if you're hoping to have one pub, if you're hoping that one pub will be the answer to your prayers, think again. If the workers start queuing outside it, it could end up becoming a problem for you, especially if you've not employed anyone to work behind the bar. As ever, your town's layout and design is important, and your distribution of workers across the town's significant sites could be carefully managed. Not all leisure buildings are the same, although some of them share a common theme. They all boost your town satisfaction. Over the upcoming weeks, we will come back to leisure buildings, etc., etc. Okay, so now it's like week 13, and we've got a couple more videos to watch here.
Hello everyone, it's good to be back. We'd said we'd return after we'd made some changes to the graphical quality, and here we are with a little taster of what's been happening since I last posted a video. Diary 13 is a little bit of graphical, a bit of before and after on some of the buildings and products, and even the town itself that have felt the touch of the digital brushes. Okay, welcome to the game world. Now, I think pretty instantly you can tell the difference, and there's so much that's changed I'm not going to be able to cover it all in this short sequence, but let me tell you about a few things. So we've got new water shaders, a new occlusion system, a level of detail has been upped so much, our programming team and artists have worked hand in hand, the programmers giving the artists just more range to work with, more detail to experiment with, and them creating some amazing models. If I zoom into the house here, you can see that's changed. It's not just houses, it's leisure buildings like the pub, that looks great there. New town square, dispatch van moving through. All of these buildings with updated blocks. The cafe there, that looks great. Trading house, it's got a really cool concrete look to it. If you just zoom in on districts, the new detail blocks gives the player so much room to work with to make their town look unique, to make it theirs, and it also applies to products. So if I go into a factory here and design a product, we've got a fish burger, it seems, on the table, but I'm going to get rid of that. Here's some before footage of what burgers used to look like, and just the design table is so different. And if I make something here, throw on a bottom bun, choose any of these fillings, all of these textures have been updated. I'll go for a traditional burger patty, add some cheese, some bacon, maybe another bun, lettuce, steak, and top it all off. Good to be back. We'd said we'd return after we'd made some changes to the So you can tell that there is such a difference, and eventually this is going to apply to all product lines, so players' creativity is going to be able to shine in all its glory. But what we haven't told you is that while they were working on these improvements, the whole team have been working on a new onboarding scene and an entirely new tutorial system that will appear throughout the game. There's a lot to showcase for that, and a lot of fantastic narrative additions that we will see more of when they're ready to reveal. But we can have a little sneak peek at two of our new characters, the VC and the Mentor. They aren't final yet, there's a lot more work going into the look of these two, but consider these the before images and be ready to see.
Paused a minute. They really have improved these two a lot. I mean, I love their new Mr. whatever his name is, Kettle, whatever. He's really cool in the play test right now.
The after versions later this year. This being a dev diary that's all about the look of Legacy, I'm going to be quiet for a moment and let you enjoy some of the gorgeous improvements our artists have made to the graphics.
All this, I think, like Townstar is going to have a Forever Town feature coming up where you don't have to rebuild your town. That would be for the contest, I don't guess. This town, you just keep building it, I guess, forever. Keep expanding it, which is kind of the way Farmville, I understand, is. It just kind of infinitely goes on and on and on. To me, some of these decorations are kind of silly.
Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that little taste of the new. I'll have another video for you ready before the month is over, and there'll be more dev diaries coming next week. But until then, have a good day. So you can tell that there is such a difference, and eventually this is going to apply to all product lines. So in new tutorials.
Some of those buildings look kind of goofy to me, where they put like ice cream on the top of the building or a telephone on the top of the building. So, I guess again that makes your workers happier, but some of that seems a little silly to me. We have here, oh, we have a YouTube. Since that was on YouTube, I'm not going to include that one probably. Okay, so here's week 16 of their dev diary.
As you've seen over the last weeks, Legacy is a game that relies immensely on design and creativity in every single aspect. Today we'll be focusing on building designs and how the same relatively small plot of land can be a host to a huge variety of different themed hamlets, markets, work areas and many more. Whether you're an efficient hard worker who prioritizes getting products made and money in the bank, filling areas with just production buildings to maximize efficiency and profits, metal mines gathering resources, research labs researching new part and exciting finds, a people person creating beautiful and high quality living areas for your workers, or filling the plot of land with leisure buildings, increasing your town's overall happiness and help the work. Houses can be compact, yet still increase your workers' happiness. It just all depends on the parts that you use. Or a mogul with multiple different business ventures, a bank at the heart of a financial district, giving your workers their wages, a shopping area showcasing products you've designed, a high-end cinema road, keeping your workers satisfied while also earning some cash, or spending your money on a beautiful mansion just for yourself. A trading house yard to interact with other players, exchanging parts and resources. Or maybe you have an appreciation for beauty, filling the area with colourful flower fields, wheat fields which are both striking and useful, or a group of vibrant, multicoloured houses using paints you've discovered along your journey. And a beachside market square which eventually will be bustling with life, a monument square where people can relax and socialise, fueling them with energy to keep on working. Alright, that's all for this week's episode. I hope this gives you all an idea of the freedom and creativity within Legacy. Remember, this was all accomplished on the same 20 building plots, and with the tools we give the player in Legacy, the sky really is the limit. Thanks for watching.
You can see this game does appeal a lot to people with the creative and the design aspects to their personalities, I think. It's not just about making money or being a slave driver, right? Here is week 19.
Hey guys, every day we inch closer and closer to our alpha release date. The team here at 22 Cans are pouring every bit of love into the finishing touches. So we thought, to commemorate this important moment, I'd show you a comparison of just how much the game has changed over the years of development, and the many weeks of dev diaries we've had. Firstly, let's go back years right to the start of Legacy's development, when it was almost a completely different game. These screenshots are from years ago, in 2019. Here's an early wide view of a small town and the game's landscape, some closer, slightly later in development shots of a game town, workers doing their work before we had variety in their clothing and style. Floods were even considered briefly as a game mechanic, but were removed years ago now. Their design table has persisted through all variations of the game. And the contrast between then and now is night and day. Now let's fast forward to just months ago, when our dev diaries began. The game has transformed so much during these months. Let's skip forward to now and see the difference. These visual changes are clear, but what you can't see are the countless bug fixes, new features, and gameplay polish. The GUI, building menus, award ceremonies, the trading house, compact housing, everything. There's so much change, it's far too much to show. But I hope you enjoyed seeing just a little bit of Legacy's legacy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in another video.
Here is a list of things that says you could expect to see in the game. Design competitions, which we've seen that already. Award events, workers, factories, refineries, farms, mines, cafes, pubs, warehouse, dispatch vans, decorations, character letters. That's what, yeah, we've been seeing letters from our players. The trading house, the research lab, the clay mine. I've already got one of those. The builder's yard, the bank, wages, town satisfaction, cakes, burgers, the player house, the town square, the worker cleanup, upgrades, upgrades, upgrades. So this is what we're in now. It didn't start till December, but the play test is only for deed holders. So I bought the smallest possible deed for this game, which is an NFT, of course. We kick off the playtest, yes. They've extended it to December 19th now. We developed a business flow, our in-house terminology for the series of tasks and challenges that pull you as a player through the game. This that is specific to this playtest to make sure that as many people as possible get to see all the features we've included in the build. So that means the final game, of course, might be different. In truth, we don't think you will need much hand holding during the playtest, nor is there a requirement for me to explain how it all works. I needed some hand holding because I was either getting stuck or bored. So, like for example, moving my pub closer to the factories was something that I would have never figured out on my own, because we're confident that the game will explain itself as you play. Yeah, it mostly does. And if it doesn't, and there's something you didn't understand, we absolutely want you to know about. When you reach the end of the play test flow, you'll find a link to a survey. I'm not sure I'm going to make it all the way to the end. There are a wealth of data points set up for us to collect a wide range of analytics. One special thing about Legacy is it's been set up to allow us to make changes to the game without you needing to download any updates. That's cool. There are two specific areas of game where we are much looking forward to your feedback: the events and the competitions, the places in the game where you will be competing against each other. Events, as I previously covered, are about your ability to run your business, and for the playtest, these events see you either competing to sell the most products in a given time or to earn the most money. Now that we've tested these events in the studio and know how much fun they are when playing against each other, watch the leaderboards shift and change, trying to put each other off with cheeky tricks like, can you just come and look at this bug a moment? To try and get each other away from our desks. That's for the guys playing in their office. Similarly, the design competitions where you play against each other depending on your level and have to design a product or a building based on a theme will also have varying links each day. I'm not going to read all that. PvP events and strategies. So PvP is player versus player. For the deed holder playtest, you could expect competitions for the most profit, the most sales, and the design. So I've been in several of those. I think way back in the beginning, I actually placed in the top 3, but the last few days I haven't. So that's why I'm back here reading all this to figure out what I've missed. Clearly, the product line you choose, cakes or burgers. I chose burgers. You choose has an immediate effect on your plans to make the most expensive product out there. If you make the most expensive burger possible, but the most expensive cake possible is worth more, then the simple plan, make the most expensive product, is going to lose you the competition if you choose burgers. Note, this is an example. This is not a statement of fact. To find out which one will be worth more than the other, you'll just have to play the game over cakes. So your choice of product for this event is the first important decision. I didn't read any of this before. So if you make a burger with 5 parts, you'll need 5 ingredients, which means you'll need to extract 5 raw produce items, yes, process all 5 in the refinery, and then use those 5 to make your final product, yes. Every time you add a new part to your design. Did I screw up by picking burgers instead of cakes? The refinery and factory have limited space, which can be upgraded. Your factory can only take products using a maximum number of parts, etc., etc. The third factor is the actual manufacturing process. Or if your burger has 5 parts and your opponent's burger has 9 parts, you'll be making your burgers faster than them if you both have the same number of workers, etc., etc. So after 20 minutes, you may well have sold 15 burgers to their 10 because you have been able to make your burgers faster than they have. Stack that up over a period of an hour or more, and the odds start to shift in your favor. The fourth and final major factor in this process is the dispatch vans. The vans travel at the same speed, which can be upgraded, though these cards are quite rare and can take only 2 products per trip. But each dispatch building can initially store 6 products, which can be upgraded. Now, if as a player, I am able to leave my dispatch building filled with products before the van returns from a sale, then the van will be working at maximum efficiency, et cetera, et cetera. And so having the entire production process, of course we want maximum. You notice the number of times I've mentioned upgrades. You'll have noticed the reference to power-up cards. These are significant. Upgraded buildings allow for more storage space, but it also means you can upgrade them with all manner of power-up cards, etc., etc. Time is of the essence. Every second counts when your workforce have to carry ingredients from the refinery to the factory and then return to do it again. Reducing the distance they have to cover is going to increase their efficiency. Pack your buildings in tight. Yeah, I could move a couple of my buildings around, maybe improve that a little. Doubling down on this, redesigning buildings to take up the smallest amount of space means you can pack them even tighter. Early game, when you don't have the buff blocks to boost the building even more, this sort of tactic can make all the difference, even if you're only shaving a millisecond off the product time. Doubling down on this, redesigning buildings to take the smallest amount of space means you can pack them even tighter. The dispatch van always leaves at one point of the map and returns from another. At some point, the sale is made. Stands to reason then the moving your production line either as close as possible to the point where it leaves the map means you'll make the sale sooner. Now, before you unlock the events, you'll receive a number of power-up cards, but which one to choose and which buildings to add. There is a debate that rages in the studio on a daily. This is a debate which rages in the studio on a daily basis. One tactic is to always select the worker speed card and put all of them in the farm, thus ensuring that the raw products is harvested and delivered to the refinery as soon as possible. I was kind of thinking that, but anyway, then you will use all the worker capacity cards in the refinery to add as many workers to that building as you can, leaving those staff to do the legwork, et cetera, et cetera. So there's different strategies. The final step in the production of a product takes the longest, and the maximizing the efficiency of that building is another tactic, which can be used by team members. The power-up cards are crucial to your tactical play, and there is more than just the next event to consider. Some of us play the long game because we know that we might lose the first few events. If we say, add all the storage upgrade cards to the refinery and ignore the tap power-up cards entirely in favor of the worker speed cards, because we know that if we keep adding worker speed cards, then eventually our workers will be so fast that any manual tapping we do won't need a boost, as we will be working hard to keep up with our workforce. The power-up cards are great. The tactical approaches to events they offer are multitudinous, and yet there are still even more tactics. There will come a time in your game when you're presented with a choice between 4 buildings, a new refactory, a new refinery, and a new farm, or even a new dispatch. Which one to choose? A new farm means twice the amount of raw produce to be harvested, etc., etc. They don't tell you which one to pick. Personally, I go with the dispatch. If you are able to plan ahead, a tactic that you should always be employing, then you can have around 12 products ready to go in the dispatch buildings, so that as soon as an event starts, you are all ready to send out 6 vans before you have to make any more products. When my opponents are sending 1 van out, I'm sending 2. It's a no-brainer if you ask me. Essentially, building choices are crucial, and once you've added the warehouse, that building choice really comes into play. The warehouse allows you to store resources. I'm going to skip all that because I don't even have a warehouse yet. Tactics to continue. Today I'm going to get into some of the meat of the bones of the most sales event. At first, it's easy to mistake the two for the same thing, but really is the amount versus value. Again, the 4 steps to success are all the balance of your product lines. In the simplest forms, the faster you can make a single product, the better your chances are of winning. But it's the way you achieve that speed, the singularity of your efficiency, makes all the difference. For today's dev diary, then I will go through my own processes in this event to give you a better idea of what it takes to get to the top spot or as near as you can. With most sales events, the placement of your production buildings is important because nothing happens until the product has actually been sold. And so gathering all your production buildings tightly together means you reduce the amount of time that each worker spends moving from building to building. But, and as just before, I personally like to cram them all into the bottom right corner of the first unlocked area because that's where the dispatch van leaves. There's some discussion about the most effective way to place the building, whether they should all be in a row or whether they should be on crossroads, taking a corner placement each. But I like to have them all as much in a row as I can to get them in the space because I think it's more effective. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you place your production buildings where you want them. What products are you going to make? The simplest answer here is you design, make a product with the fewest parts and the lowest resource cost. Say you're making a burger. Burger buns cost one raw resource processed at the refinery and turned into one ingredient that can go to the factory and is turned out into the bun. If you were to enter a most sales event from the very beginning of the game and everybody else chose to make a complete burger, then you would almost certainly win the event. But I want to point out something to you that might make a difference when an event time is longer than 5 or 10 minutes, and that's the market capacity score. You see, once you've reached the market capacity of 0, you will not be able to load that product into your dispatch van anymore, effectively rendering that product you designed completely useless for the event. If the event lasts for more than an hour, you're going to lose valuable time making a new product. It means you got to go into the design space and redesign your burger. If it is as singular as the burger bun, it is something to keep in mind. This highlights the huge difference in a nutshell. Most profit, make the most expensive product you can. Most sales, make the one with the least parts as possible. It seems like now is a good time to point out that preparation for each event should not be forgotten. If you know what's coming, your production line and set up your production line accordingly and try to hold off from making your first sell until the very last second to keep the market capacity threat at bay. In the meta of most sales events, make them fast and sell them fast, but bearing in mind that the dispatch vans go at the same speed in every town, though much later in the game there will be upgrades available where you can give yourself an advantage. Aside from adding more farms, forest, cotton fields, which all play the same role of raw produce providers, more refineries, smelters, and processors, the middlemen of the process, and more factories making different product lines, what else can you do? You can add another dispatch, which, if you're able to keep up, would double your output for each and every run. But of course, the competition will be doing the exact same thing. In fact, you could say that completing the task and changes the business flow is a little like enacting an arms race, as each and every player tries to get ahead of their competition and add essential new buildings. Blah, 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 blah. Right? There are 2 new areas to cover. A personal tactic that shaves off milliseconds, and in our office events, every millisecond counts. First, there's the effect the new building blocks can have on a production building. Some building blocks that can be unlocked in the research lab add buffs to the buildings they are part of. You can increase worker speeds and production times, decrease the number of taps required if there's a buff block available to you. Adding it to a building's design will give your product line a little boost. Then there's my own little tactic, thinning down every building. I don't think we can design the buildings right now. In-depth table design. It just kind of goes on and on, doesn't it? Blah, 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 blah. Let's see more videos. Deed holder playtest, that's what we're in right now. So I think that's kind of the end of the video instructions. So I've got other videos on my channel where you've seen me playing, but now this has given me a couple of ideas, mainly at least of moving my pub and then maybe checking to put my buildings closer together. So hopefully having all these little videos there from their diary in one place might be helpful to you. Hope so. If you like the video, let me know. And any comments, let me know. Talk to you later.